Welcome to issue 140 of the Captain's Log, where I take a deeper dive into an aspect of the social age. And today I'm reflecting on a very new piece of work, very imperfect piece of work, called The Moral Leader, which considers imperfect leadership within imperfect systems, which might sound like an odd thing to do, because if we're thinking about leadership, shouldn't we be thinking about idealism, about perfection, about being great, about doing things right? Well, we should, if it's possible to do things right. The idea of imperfect leadership is that every action we take has both a benefit and a cost. It ties into the work in quiet leadership, where I talk about the shadows that we cast and the organisation as ecosystem, that we breathe in and we breathe out, all of us. None of us hover over the system looking down upon it. We all exist within it. So within this work on the moral leader, I'm talking about morality not as an absolute force, but rather as a consideration of one's actions, and specifically to look at how our actions are calibrated. So it works across four areas. It talks about the compass, thinking, where does our moral compass come from? How do we make decisions? How do we use that compass? Were we given it? Did we make it? Do all compasses point in the same direction? We think about whether we trust it or not. Do we stop to analyze our actions, or do we just blindly follow where it points us? Again, this speaks to morality as being something contextual, something individual, rather than something absolute. Of course, a real compass would point to magnetic north, but our moral compasses clearly point in different directions because people take different types of actions. It asks whether we conflate what the crowd thinks with what's truly right. Do we act just in the ways we are expected to act, or do we act in ways which are right, if it's possible to discern what right really is? We think about the community that could make the journey with us. How do they act upon us? Are our values aligned with a community? Can a community even have values? Are we responsive to that? Do we hide from that? Just considering the people we make our journey with have a great influence upon us. And thinking about the map, what's the nature of the landscape that we inhabit? Who gets to draw the maps? Do we each draw or redraw or annotate or graffiti our own? Will we get lost, and what will that be like? And what will be the price of being lost? Or will it be comfortable to be lost? This work is very fragile. It's hard to say we should seek to be leaders who are lost, and yet maybe that is what we are. Maybe we're using the wrong judgments if we talk about doing things right and wrong, or doing them perfectly or imperfectly. Maybe we are just doing them in a human way. Even if we just give somebody an opportunity, it means we're not giving it to somebody else. Not for bad reasons, but nonetheless, that's the outcome of our actions. We spend opportunity, we spend our kindness, we spend our pride, we spend our trust in different ways, and we cannot spend it everywhere. So this work is really intended to be a reflection on how we carry ourselves through this new context, the context of the social age, at the intersection of systems, in a highly imperfect way. And I'm playing with it. I don't know if I will develop this work further. It might not be right or useful, and maybe that's a better way of putting it. It ties in more broadly to the notions of the rise of community, the importance of social authority, the role of trust, and just thinking about how we believe in our leaders, how we believe in our organizations, how we come to belong, and what that sense of belief and belonging gives us, which again ties into the idea of discretionary investment. If people are employed, it doesn't mean they will automatically give you everything. Under a fractured social contract, which is what we see in the context of the social age, we may need to earn certain types of engagement through our actions. And hence, if we understand more, if we pause to reflect more on how we lead, both in the perfect and imperfect ways, maybe that will allow us to connect into our communities in different ways. So there we are. I'm just reflecting on that work that I've been developing out this week. I'm a little bit croaky today. I've got a bit of a cold, so forgive me if I'm sounding a little bit breathless. I've managed not to cough though, so that's good. And aside from that, I've just been looking at the Humble Leader. The first edition is almost sold out, the first print run, so that's exciting. And I've just been seeing copies of that book landing all around the world, which is nice. You know, when you write a book, you mess about with it forever, and then you finally kind of hit go, and off it goes, and it takes forever to get printed and published, and then getting things up for sale and all the rest of it. But then finally it starts to land, and it reminds you of why you created it in the first place. When people say they have found something in it or put something into it, the point of The Humble Leader is not to be a book of answers, it's a book of space. And I like that when people say, this is how I've used it, this is what I've put into it. So I'm feeling quite buoyed with the energy of that this week. Anyway, I hope you've had a great week, and I will see you next time.